so let's dive right into it. The Colts. We were talking about this before we started, and how you were still throwing shade at Josh McDaniels for just completely jumping ship.
I was just off.
Yeah, but when you think about it, Frank Reich was for sure. I mean, you couldn't expect more from Frank Reich.
No, of course, yeah. I mean, I wasn't skeptical at all. Even during the signing, I was pretty excited because, I mean, he just led the Eagles to the Super Bowl as offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, who knows what he would do with Andrew Luck at quarterback. So, I thought it was cool. I thought he was a good signing. So, I was very happy with him as head coach. And clearly, he even showed it today with this past week when he beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who were undefeated. I mean,
there's only two undefeated teams left.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Now, one of them is probably more crazy than the other. The San Francisco 49ers. But, yeah. I was more surprised in this game about how Patrick Mahomes played. I think he was I don't know, it just didn't seem like Patrick Mahomes. He did really, in the one touchdown pass he threw though, it was exceptional. Mm-hmm. He was running.
That was one of the best plays I've seen this year.
Yeah, he was he was running, I think, close to 20 yards in that play alone, and still got the touchdown.
I saw he ran, I think, 60 yards in that play.
Oh, really?
It was either 40 or 60. I don't remember the real number.
Because he kept on running.
He was running around in circles like crazy.
And then he eventually threw the ball to Pringle and got the touchdown.
That just shows you, well, one thing, it shows you that he's such a good player that he's getting some guy named Pringle touchdowns in a 100-yard game.
Yeah, he had 100 yards in a touchdown.
I think I saw a Colts player say this after the game. It was that play was amazing, but the fact that we have the only way he could score was by making those amazing plays is testament to how good our defense was.
Correct.
I 100% agree with that. Their defense was playing amazing. Darius Leonard was out. For those of you who don't know, all pro linebacker, just not in the game. You got Malik Hooker. He's a Pro Bowl safety. He's out with a meniscus. When is he coming back this year?
Yeah, he is. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. He has a torn meniscus. He has a torn meniscus right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he'll be back though for sure. And then Darius Leonard's now out of concussion protocol, so he should be back. But we also played with a hurt Marlon Mack and T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton didn't really play up to par, I guess you could say. He had 4 receptions for 37 yards. But Marlon Mack, my goodness. It's not even just Marlon Mack. I mean, the entire rushing crew just carried. Because Brissett didn't have that much offense with them. He had 150 yards and a pick. But Marlon Mack really carried. He had 132 rushing yards on 29 carries. And Wilkins also had 28 yards. So, I mean, just the rushing game altogether. Just compare that to the Chiefs, who had 40 combined rushing yards. It's just, it's not even comparable. Mm-hmm. The Colts, I think this gives a testament to how good their O-line is. Because, I mean, if they're running the ball close to 35, 40 times a game, you can't. It's all the O-line. And I'm pretty sure you've seen, Quentin Nelson, he has, a hat that says, run the ball, or something like that.
Yeah, it's run the damn ball.
Run the damn ball.
I love that. That's amazing.
And, I mean, it works. Because Brissett only threw 29 times that game. So, it definitely works. But, I mean, Mahomes, I also saw he was, limping a lot throughout the game. Yeah,
I want to talk about that a little bit. So obviously he's playing hurt now. I think that's pretty obvious. Because I'm pretty sure, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but the Lions game, he was also limping. And I think he got hurt week 1. He was limping then too.
Yes.
So I don't know if this is a fresh injury or just a continuous thing that keeps on happening. And the thing is, I don't know if it's how major it's going to be, because it's probably affecting his ability to run around, which, when you think about it, I think I saw this stat, again, don't remember the number, saw this on Twitter, but he was the number 1 player when it comes to throwing on the run, and it was a huge margin. Mitchell Trubisky was actually on that top 5 list, by the way.
Because but he's also mobile.
Apparently, he's better, running and throwing than just throwing from the clean pocket. But that's besides the point. Yeah. He's playing hurt, and that's definitely gonna. I think that's impacted their offense because he's one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league, and so many of his plays come from him scrambling. You saw it on that one touchdown pass. That's literally how he makes a ton of his big plays. So we'll see how that injury impacts him later on, if it sticks around, and whether or not he's going to be the same mobile player. But again, it's not a major injury, but it's just something to look at, I think.
Definitely, yeah. I was Damian Williams did not impress me at all.
LaShawn McCoy didn't get a single carry.
LaShawn McCoy did not get any carries. He was there as a receiving back this game and didn't even do well in receiving. He had 2 receptions for 23 yards. And, it's like an off performance from Mahomes. He only had 1 touchdown. I was quite surprised.
That's 2 off performances in a row. So
he had 1 touchdown combined
in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So I think as a fan of football, I'm excited because I'm tired of seeing teams like the Chiefs going off and scoring 35 points a game. I like seeing the fact that 2 defenses in a row have been able to almost crack this offense down, and they're limiting their offensive production. I think as a fan of football in general, that's just amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely. And even Mahomes, we'll talk about it later on when we get to the game predictions for this upcoming week. They're against the Texans, so that's going to be that's also going to be. They have a really good defense, a formidable defense that they have with J.J. Watt and their D-line. So that's going to be, and the Colts weren't even at full strength, so that's even more impressive how they were losing people like flies. It's almost I can't compare it to the Eagles because the Eagles were just dead on their offense, on their defense. But they were close to that.
You guys are losing players for sure.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. I think Justin Houston was the MVP of that.
He won Defensive Player of the Week for the
AFC. Yeah, exactly. He had 78.5. All right, so in the time with his Chiefs, he had 78.5 sacks during 8 seasons with the Chiefs. So he was definitely a good player for the Chiefs. He gave his revenge to the Chiefs. The Chiefs wanted
he wanted to go back.
He wanted to go back, and the Chiefs were like, no, so then cut him. And then now he's on the Colts.
He hopes to win that game for sure.
And then he took his anger out 100%. But I think in the Chiefs side, their defense was just horrendous though. The pass interference calls, I think that's insane. I think his name's Bashad Breeland. Yeah, he was flagged 4 times for 68 yards, and he had a 53-yard pass interference call. It was
I remember that. It's I think didn't he literally push the guy?
He literally pushed the guy. Yeah. It's just insane. I could not. It's just insane. Yeah. I think also the Colts, they lost Kenny Moore in the first half, and that was another big injury, but it clearly didn't affect them because Mahomes could not capitalize on the touchdowns even with the injuries. Also, I was very happy that Adam Vinatieri hit his field goals. He scored the most points for the Colts.
I remember a couple weeks ago there was he was coming out with an announcement, and I thought he was going to retire, but I don't remember ever seeing an announcement.
Yeah, I think no, he was definitely going to retire, and
he just didn't.
He just didn't because I think the Colts needed him.
Yes, they're playing good
because the remaining kickers on the market aren't up to par to him, even with him performing poorly in the past.
Yeah, I think he's gonna retire after this year for sure.
I think he
will. But we'll see. One thing I wanted to talk about was I remember seeing this. Eric Ebron, what is up with that? Because last year he was playing really good, and now he's getting out snapped by both Jack Doe and Mo Alley-Cox.
Yeah, even targets. Eric Ebron only had 4 targets that game and only got 1 reception for 8 yards. He did well last week because he had 1 60-yard touchdown. I think that was how majority of his points came through. I don't know why he's not.
Maybe it's not the
system. No,
it's not the same system, right?
And that's what I thought. Maybe Brissett isn't looking at him the most. And Doyle was hurt most of the year last year, and he's back in the offense. And Doyle and him are almost the same player. Yeah. In terms of talent, so maybe that's affecting them. But even Mo Alley-Cox getting more
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I think the crazier thing is that I remember his name is Mo Alley-Cox.
But yeah, and also Paris Campbell didn't play this past week. I think he'll be back on the roster. So.
Who else is injured on that Colts team? They have a ton of injured players.
I think they'll be back though. I think Leonard's coming back, so And I think Mack will be healthy for next week. Same with Hill.
He still played good. He had like 132 yards. I think,
right? So, I mean,
he's top 5 in the rushing leaders.
Which makes sense because the Colts are now based on their run team. They're a run team.
I wanted to talk about Jacoby Brissett real quick because I remember I wanted to talk about whether or not you think he's a franchise quarterback yet. And after this game, what do you think as a Colts fan?
See, being franchise quarterback, I'm not sure yet because his performance wasn't really up to par either. He had 150 yards and a pick, so I can't really say. He ran the ball most of the time. Mm-hmm. So, it's like I wouldn't say he did poorly, but
he's still like high in the stats, though.
He's like kind of like what Bridgewater's doing, like treading water. But I think he's doing above that.
Because he's actually putting up numbers.
He's actually putting up numbers. Yeah. Because excluding this game, he's been doing well like almost every week. Yeah. So I think overall, I think as of right now, I have no problem with him as the starting quarterback for the Colts, and I don't think there's anyone on the market that could really. Affect him.
You traded like 3rd round pick for him, right?
Yeah. Okay. And he was drafted in the 3rd round.
So right now his touchdown to interception ratio is 10 for 3. That's really good. That puts him he's tied for 8th in the league for touchdowns. And he's tied with Tom Brady and Carson Wentz. So he's still playing. He's still a good player.